Terence Crawford is ready to answer Murtazaliev after shocking everyone by beating Tszyu last weekend.
Будет это Чарло, будет это Крофорд, будет это Фундора, Спенс. Не имеет никакого значения. Приоритет это пояса. Если нету поясов.
Fans want to know if Terence Crawford will want to fight IBF junior middleweight champion Bakhram Murtazaliev in a crossover match after he beats Tszyu badly in the third round. Crawford just beat Israel Madrimov to win the WBA 154-pound title, and he plans to fight WBC and WBO champion Sebastian Fundora. The fight was called off when the WBO let Fundora defend himself against Errol Spence on his own. Keith Thurman asked Terence Crawford if he would want to fight Bakhram Murtazaliev for the IBF junior middleweight title. He said there was no proof that he wouldn't be dodged again. The only good thing about him is that he has a title. Since he has a title, he can easily stay busy by fighting people in the ranks with the IBF and dominating, which will help him gain more fans and show what he brings to the 154 division. But does Bud need Bakhram? Does Bud take that fight? Thurman says that after his shocking win over Tszyu, Terence Crawford is likely to stay away from Bakhram Murtazaliev. He adds that while Murtazaliev is focused on defending his IBF title, Crawford may be hesitant to take on such a formidable opponent right now. Thurman notes that Murtazaliev's recent performance has generated major excitement in the division, but it also puts pressure on top fighters like Crawford to consider their next moves carefully. Keith further added who really wants it and takes it and says that's my next opponent. Does Bam stay in his IBF lane protecting his title? He says he has to stay in his lane until another door opens up to do another great fight in this division in the world of boxing, but right now he's got a lot of us excited coming to the big upset backroom room pulled up against the favorite. Tszyu, the Australian, says that he didn't know what he got hit with.
What did I get hit with? Couldn't regroup and I don't know, man.
Murtazaliev knocked the former WBO 150 for PB champion Tszyu originally with a left hook during an exchange in round 2. That was where things fell apart for the 29-year-old Tszyu because he never recovered from that shot. What chance Tszyu had of coming back, he threw it away, going on the attack and trying to slug with Murtazaliev when describing what happened. Who says he got caught with a punch and couldn't recover from it? He kept getting up but wasn't going to work. Tim said, "What just happened? What did I get hit with? I have to regroup. And I don't know, man doesn't go your way, and you have to bounce back. I was positive after Fundora, but I got to find some answers after this. It didn't go to script, I felt unbelievable, he got me. He was the better man on the night we lived, and we learn it." Tszyu hoped to recover from his split decision loss to Sebastian Fundora in March, but faced a harsh reality against Murtazaliev, who dominated from the start. Murtazaliev knocked Tszyu down 3 times in the second round, leaving the Australian barely able to make it to the bell and needing a check from the doctor before being allowed to continue. It wasn't long before Tszyu hit the canvas again, and with the referee warning he would stop the fight after one more knockdown, Tszyu's corner moved to prevent that from happening. Tim definitely underestimated Bam's power and paid the price. However, Tim praised his opponent, saying, "Congratulations to my opponent for the tremendous performance. Yeah. We move on and regroup, and my team will be back again. I will be back. I'll still be in big fights soon, and I got to find plenty of answers for myself, of course. It will be very difficult for Tszyu to rebuild himself after the latest defeat because many of the top fighters in the 150 for PB class will expose his flaws in the fight. Even the younger fighters like Yusuf Taze would take advantage of what Murtazaliev has exposed."
My dad told me from a young age, never give up. And if you shoot for the stars and you crash and burn on the way, just keep going. And I'm gonna keep going and keep reaching for them stars. Thank you all.
Terence Crawford says Tszyu took Murtazaliev lightly, focusing on other fighters he wanted to meet. Crawford, who holds the WBA 154-pound title, states that Murtazaliev was just too strong for the former WBO champ. Tszyu Crawford wrote, "Tim thought he had an easy one. Took this dude lightly, and was worried about other fighters. Tim thought he had already won the fight before he went inside the ring with Bakhram. Before the fight, Tim was already looking into the future, planning on fighting bigger stars like Crawford and Errol Spence and thinking of Bam as a stepping stone." Tim said this before the fight, "I'm leaning more toward Fundora beating Spence due to activity and height. I don't know what Spence is, but still, a Crawford fight against me would be cracking styles make fights, and that one would be one hell of a show. I think Crawford did well against Israel Madrimov. Critics are going to always be like that. Madrimov is not a bum, People don't understand that. This clearly shows that Tim's mindset regarding this fight wasn't the best. Underestimating a champion like Bakhram, who has an exceptional knockout ratio, is not the wisest thing to do, and Tim had to pay for this finally before the fight. Sean Porter highlighted the fierce competitiveness of the 154-pound division, stating that it is currently the toughest division in boxing. He stated that Tim Tszyu is easily among the top 3 fighters in this category, reflecting his skill and potential. Porter emphasized that the depth of ability in this division presents a challenging landscape for any contender. By recognizing Tszyu's place in the top tier, he underscored the high stakes of Tszyu's future fight against Bakhram Murtazaliev.
Read on the landscape at 154. Where's Tim Tszyu sit in there?
It's becoming the hottest division right now. 135 is still really high. We've got some of the lighter weights. 26 is really high. 68, 75. We've got some hot divisions right now. I feel like 154 might be the most competitive division in boxing right now. And I think Tim is still, even with the loss that he got to Fundora, we saw how the fight unfolded, why it unfolded, or possibly why it unfolded the way that it did. Tim's been in the top 3 at 154. I think 2023. I think that was the first time I come over there to Australia, ever since I've seen Tim.
However, now that the fight is done and dusted, Porter thinks that Tszyu came into this fight with an arrogant attitude, which led to his quick exit. Porter said, "They shouldn't have tried to fight fire with fire. That's his style. I get that, but I feel like moving and turning was the right thing to do. You put that on coaching as far as getting back to world contention. I'm not sure when you've been at the top you're a step away from getting back. There were many others that already deemed Tszyu the winner." Danny Bates voiced confidence in Tszyu but acknowledged the fight's difficulty. "I think mid-fights all the way to the end of the bell. This is going to be a sweaty chose. Not that Tszyu is not going to win. I think Tszyu is going to win for sure, but I'm talking about making it to the final. I think Tszyu by chose is the play for me in this one." Paulie Malignaggi highlighted the importance of the fight, noting that despite the differences in profiles between Tszyu and Murtazaliev, the winner will greatly raise their standing in the competitive 154-pound division. It's not a walkover, even though one may be more well-known than the other and one may have a bigger profile than the other, but it's a fight where the winner certainly raises their profile tremendously. If it's Tszyu, he's back in the win column and back in the mix, and if it's Murtazaliev, you know what? Now you've got a different player in the 154-pound division, a weight class that is already rather full of talent. Boxing Analayor Golubov pointed out the hurdles Tszyu would face in the ring. He noted, "I can see after the last fight he's more hungrier." Golubov's assessment emphasized Tszyu's heightened determination following his defeat to Sebastian Fundora, suggesting that this matchup might show a more driven and focused version of Tszyu. He added, "Listen, it's not an easy opponent. The way to take his history and we watch his fights. The dangerous part of him is he's really tough and he's dangerous. He looks like he's hurt, and it's where the part he's always had heavy hands." Tim Zarafa's younger brother Nikita Tszyu made a bold prediction regarding Bakhram Murtazaliev's toughness. He stated he looks like he has a hard head, he's got a very thick skull, so Tim's got to punch holes into that skull. He's got to start learning how to punch walls. Nikita said that Bakhram has a style that makes him pretty easy to hit. He said that Tim would break him down and stop him in the latter part of the fight.
I think Bakhram, he's got a style that's pretty easy to hit. He comes forward a lot. I think Tim will kind of just break him down throughout the rounds, and I see just see him breaking him down over the end throughout the course of the fight and possibly stopping him by the end.
Unfortunately, this wasn't the case for Tim, as Bakhram didn't let him start his offense. Chris Algieri warned against underestimating Murtazaliev, highlighting the fighter's skill set despite his lack of mainstream fame. He stated, "I don't know how much this would be a huge upset. Murtazaliev is actually a very good boxer. He's got a very good right hand, he's basic, he's physically strong, he's big, he's tall for the weight class. This is not an easy fight for Tim Tszyu, not a walkover by any means. Just because we haven't heard of him, or the fighting public hasn't heard of him doesn't mean the guy can't fight." Algieri emphasized the significance of the fight for Murtazaliev, noting this is a huge chance for morale, but it's certainly not a walkover bout whatsoever. Tim Tszyu got his hands full because Murtazaliev can fight. Peter Bottle said that Tim would face immense pressure considering that a loss now would put a halt to his promising future. He said Tim Tszyu is the rival in this fight, and he needs to bring the goods. A loss here for Tszyu is not career-ending, but it's catastrophic and seriously damaging to his image if he loses 2 in a row. Tin comes into this fight with that load of pressure and expectation. The battle underscored the high stakes for Tszyu, emphasizing that a win was crucial for him to regain his standing in the boxing community after his earlier loss. He turned back from Murtazaliev and noted the potential danger he posed, saying that Murtazaliev, probably given the fact that he's maligned and unknown, can just go out there and throw the bombs that he throws. The battle warrant that Murtazaliev's impressive record and the desperation that comes with being underestimated make him a significant threat capable of delivering powerful punches even in the later rounds. A desperate man is a dangerous man, and I think Murtazaliev, while underestimated, has a 22-0 record with 16 knockouts that shows he's got the power and can transfer that power into the later rounds as he did against Ko in his last fight when he knocked him out in the 11th round. Battle stated that Tin Tszyu must make a statement in this fight against Bakhram Murtazaliev to solidify his status in the 150 for PB division. He emphasized that a victory is essential for Tszyu to reaffirm his place among the top contenders and regain momentum after his previous loss. Winning this match would not only boost Zerafa confidence, but also signal to others in the division that he is a real threat, making it a pivotal moment in his career.
Back-to-back losses in the fight game can be really hurtful. So particularly for a guy like Tim, who wants to be the king of the 154 division, maybe ratings-wise to a lot of people he is, but in terms of belts he's not. So this is where Tim needs to make a statement in this fight, and then over the next 12 months to become potentially a unified champion at super welterweight.
Considering that there were many who warned Tin to take Bakhram seriously, it's no wonder that Bakhram winning the fight is no fluke. After the fight, Bottle felt Tszyu was a little bit cocky early. He said, "I don't think he earned the right in this fight to control." He was watchful early, and then in the 3rd or 4th round, he started to apply the pressure. But in this fight he tried to almost bang early. This is a terrible loss for Tin Tszyu. Ben Damon described the Tim Zerafal loss as unthinkable and a monstrous upset, highlighting the shocking nature of the result against Bakhram Murtazaliev. He said it has been an obliteration in Orlando. Tin Tszyu down for times and Bakhram Murtazaliev keeping his world title in a one-sided beatdown. Keith Thurman discussed Tim Zerafa's skills, emphasizing his confidence. When signing the contract, he remarked that there was nothing special about Tszyu, saying that Bakhram Murtazaliev and his trainer claimed Tszyu was a cookie-cutter opponent made from Malaya. Thurman noted that they were able to make their point in the fight.
You know, I mean, look what the left hook did, man. You know, I was obviously confident when I signed the contract. I said there's nothing special in what Tim Tszyu brings to the table. Earlier this week, because I was on the analytical side this evening, earlier this week, I got to interview all the fighters. And, you know, Bakhram clearly said that him and his trainer said that there's nothing special about Tim Tszyu, and that Tim Tszyu is just cookie cutter made for Bakhram. And not only were they able to say that, but they were able to prove it, you know.
Thurman, working as part of the broadcast team for Premier Boxing Champions, offered a thorough analysis of Tim Zerafa's performance in his recent fight against Bakhram Murtazaliev. He pointed out that Tszyu looked unable to make necessary adjustments after being hurt early in the match. Instead of adapting his strategy, Tszyu continued to fight in a way that ultimately led to his downfall, as he was knocked down for times throughout the bout. Thurman stressed that the Murtazaliev team had fully prepared for Tszyu, identifying his weaknesses and crafting a game plan that effectively exploited them. He noticed how Murtazaliev's success with his left hook was a clear indication of this preparation. Thurman highlighted that Bakhram had previously claimed there was nothing special about Tszyu, and during the fight he showed that assertion to be true, dominating the former WBO 154-pound champion. He further added, "Look what the left hook did." Bam clearly said that there's nothing special about Tin Tszyu, and he's a bread cutter made for Bakhram. Not only were they able to say that they were able to prove it, Tszyu rushed back into the fight, which finally led to his downfall. Thurman's comments highlight a major flaw in the Zerafa game plan, suggesting he should have utilized his jab to control the pace. Keith said you can't do the same thing over and over again. He was definitely hurt, and he tried to put himself right back into the fight instead of giving himself some time and strategically working behind the jab, trying to slow down the pace. It was almost like you could see Tim shaking on the ground. It was almost like we could see reverb from the punch. As an onlooker, everything in his body is telling his body to shut down. Thurman described how despite being unsteady on his feet, Tszyu still tried to throw an overhand right, which Thurman interprets as misguided confidence. He concluded he stood back up, and right before his managers threw in the towel, he was on Bombi's legs. He couldn't stand up, but he still had the gall to come with an overhand right. He's not that scary. He's not that dangerous. The year of him coming over here and trying to show that when you go from a little pool to a big pool, you run into some big fish. Caleb Plant noted the unpredictability of boxing, noting the many highs and lows the sport brings. He recognized both fighters as great competitors and expected a tough fight, expressing no doubt about the challenges they would face in the ring.
But, you know, it's boxing, a lot of highs and lows, so.
Yeah, for sure. Crazy, right, Caleb? I don't think anybody gave Murtazaliev a win by knockout.
I mean, maybe not in that fashion and that early, so.
Yeah.
But both are great fighters, so I knew it was going to be a tough fight.
No doubt.
It's going to be really hard for Tszyu to come back without his promoter matching him against weaker competition. How long that would take is unknown. It might require that Tszyu spend all of 2020's 25 fighting lesser guys who can't punch and will fold under his power. He should also consider getting a new trainer that works on developing his boxing skills if we're putting him back in with someone good. It's important that Tszyu take a step back against a lower-level opponent for his next fight rather than continuing to face talented top 5-level competition like he's done in his last 2 fights. His losses against Murtazaliev and Sebastian Fundora showed that he's not ready to mix it with the best fighters in the 154-pound division. Tszyu is 29, but he's been fighting a lot of older guys and weak competition to build his record. He's going to have to retool his game and focus on fighting a bottom-tier fighter to work on becoming more of a boxer so that he doesn't continue to lose right now. A fight with fellow Australian boxer Michael Zerafa is the best choice for Tim. Zerafa also chimed into this matter and had a dig at Tszyu by saying that he's nothing like his father. Zerafa expresses strong views about Zerafa's performance and his public persona, which he thinks Tszyu has been living off height and hasn't proven himself as a fighter. This sentiment represents the doubts that some fans and fighters have about Tszyu's abilities compared to his father's legacy. Zerafa said, "I can tell you exactly what happened. Tim Tszyu has been found out. I've been saying for a long time the guy isn't who everyone thinks he is, but Tszyu has a great hype team around him, and he believed it. He believed his own hype, and he got found out. As you can see now, he's nothing like his father. He came into this fight saying he was going to face Canelo. Tim was fighting a real world champion, and he overlooked him." Zerafa revealed that there were already discussions about this fight suggesting that both fighters have a lot at stake going forward. He further added, "My phone, it's been blowing up. People haven't stopped calling behind the scenes. There was already talk that if I won against Nikita Tszyu then I got Tim, but there was also talk that if Tim got beat by more, I went straight to him. So our fight has to happen now. It will happen too." Tszyu was determined to show that he still belonged among boxing's elite. The defeat against Fundora was a tough pill to swallow, especially given the conditions that surrounded it. Tszyu suffered a severe cut from an accidental elbow in the second round, which greatly affected his performance.
Here's where the cut happened, and may have been the left elbow of Sebastian Fundora.
They didn't have it on my monitor.
Right here, take a look.
Let's see.
Leads in. Watch the left elbow. There it is. The left elbow, the forearm of Fundora.
Yeah, basically Tszyu.
Despite this, he battled through the pain, showing tremendous heart and resilience, ultimately losing by a split decision before his fight with Murtazaliev. Tszyu reflected on his loss to Fundora, admitting that it was a difficult experience. He said, "I learned a lot that night. It wasn't just about the loss, it was about how I handled adversity. Fighting with a cut like that, I had to dig deep. It showed me what I was capable of." The aftermath of the Fundora fight was a period of introspection for Tszyu. He spent hours reviewing footage, analyzing his mistakes and plotting his path forward. So what are your thoughts about this? Should Crawford face Bakhram next? Do let us know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.